WarioWare is finally back after a nearly 10-year hiatus, and it seems Wario's dead set on making up for lost time, because WarioWare Gold is the biggest WarioWare yet, lifting some of the best microgames from across the series' history, while piling on some new ones all of its own, making for a record-breaking 316 microgames in total. Yeah, it's quite a lot. And as is series tradition, WarioWare Gold is all about pushing you through as many of those microgames as quickly as possible, with each one lasting only a few seconds before you're on to the next one. There's little time to react and even less to rest, as the game pushes you through one microgame after another at a breakneck pace that only gets faster and tougher the longer you persist. The bulk of the action takes place in the so-called story mode, in which the 300 plus minigames are split between 15 different stages in 3 different categories, with each one being based on the control style of one of the first 3 WarioWare games. Mashing buttons, twisting the system like a dial, or using the touchscreen exclusively. Now, I say so-called story mode because the story is as wonderfully nonsensical as you'd expect from the series, with most every stage, outside of Wario's own, existing as its own self-contained sequence, including animated bookends. And these sequences can be truly ridiculous, whether it's engaging in a rap battle to win back a stolen 3DS.
I was on my way home, saw this kid looking sad, wondered what was wrong, and I thought I should ask. You see, the game is yours, I won't debate facts, but maybe my rapping skills could win it back.
Or taking on an entire space armada as an intergalactic taxi. And in a series first, these vignettes are fully voiced. And wonderfully so, I might add, with voice acting that really brings the characters to life in a way that they have never been before.
It's all about staying cool, like with the customers.
Oh, Spitz, you always stay so level-headed. Hey, what's that thing headed this way?
It's a laser! U-turn!
We're not gonna make it!
It infuses WarioWare with an even greater energy that perfectly befits a franchise. Unfortunately, it does make the more limited Flash style of animation stand out all the more in contrast. Now, your first time through each character's stage will always conclude with a boss fight, like driving a car? Look, it's WarioWare, okay? And once the boss is defeated, you'll unlock the next stage in that tier. But you can also revisit any stage in an arcade-style endless mode in an effort to set a new high score. Now, beyond the initial 15 stages, you'll find a final set where every microgame is fair game, which is especially tricky in WarioWare Gold because of the 3 actually make that 4 different control schemes. Yep, on top of mashing, twisting, and touching, the final few stages also introduce a 4th mechanic, blowing into the microphone. And when mixed together, it can get especially hectic as the game only provides the briefest of heads up as to which control scheme to use before the microgame actually starts. It's frantic, but fun. The microgames themselves are as strong as they've ever been, with returning classics like Body Block, Force Feeding, or Clog It. Okay, so maybe they're only as classic as a 5-second long microgame can be, but they were certainly memorable. And they've all been given a loving visual makeover to ensure that they don't look out of place alongside the brand new microgames, which are just as fun and inventive as a returning selection. Even the touchscreen-only microgames from WarioWare Touched, which were among my least favorite in the series due to how similar they were mechanically, feel like they work better here as part of a more diverse lineup. The only slight downgrade comes to the microgames from WarioWare Twisted, as the 3DS lacks a fantastic rumble that was built into the original game's cartridge, which enabled the system to click like a rotary phone as you spun it. It certainly wasn't essential, but I didn't miss the tactile feedback. Now, as an experienced WarioWare player, the story mode only took me a couple of hours to finish, and it didn't pose too much of a challenge until the final few stages. But even then, the game allows you to pick up right where you left off after a game over, as long as you don't mind giving up a few coins. Which is pretty convenient, but also feels just a little bit like cheating since you can essentially just pay your way to the end. Outside of story mode, you'll find some unlockable challenges that put a slightly different spin on the microgame gauntlet. Whether it's racing the clock in Wario Watch, where each victory buys you a little extra time, or breathlessly cycling between minigames without any prep time at all in split screen, due to each microgame starting instantly by alternating 3DS screens between rounds. Yeah, the challenges can be pretty nuts. Oh, and Sneaky Gamer returns from the WarioWare spin-off Game & Wario, and is still a blast to play as you try to complete microgames while avoiding being caught by 9Volt's mom. Now, as you play through either story mode or the challenges, you'll earn coins that can be spent on a toy capsule machine that unlocks all kinds of random bonuses, of varying amusement. Among the standouts are a handful of relatively elaborate minigames. Well, elaborate by microgame standards at least, such as the hilarious Mewtroid and its sequel, Mewtroid 2, where you play as a cat blasting aliens to Metroid music. Only the beats are replaced with meows. Yeah, it's just as great as it sounds. You'll also find minigames based on memorization, golf, bowling, Nintendo's own Game & Watch, along with, of course, the return of WarioWare staple, Pyoro. The minigames are mostly fun in short bursts, although they don't exactly have a ton of replay value. Beyond the minigames, the unlockable studio mode is also a cute diversion, where you can redub cutscenes using your own voice, for every character.
Mike, think Gallium? There you are.
Yes, it is me.
I was worried about you.
Worried.
Why did you run off like that? You know how I miss you.
It's a lot of fun, and perhaps the best use of the 3DS's microphone to date. It's just a shame that there's no easy way to share your creations outside of the 3DS, such as on social media or YouTube. The problem with these unlockables is that the good stuff is buried within a sea of mediocrity, consisting of nearly worthless extras like phone numbers you can dial in-game for simple text messages, or extremely short wiki-style entries on featured Nintendo toys, or like 20 different alarm clocks in case you don't have a phone or something. These trinkets would be cute as a one-time thing, but the 5 to 10 seconds of amusement they brought, if that, can't make up for the fact that it kept standing in my way of the truly fun stuff, like the minigames. And since each poll costs 600 coins, you'll have to go out of your way to earn enough cash to unlock them all. Whether by replaying story mode or the challenge stages, or taking on some achievement-style missions for cash rewards. I'm almost certain a newcomer to the series would find the process less tedious, since the whole game would be fresh. But as one who's played almost every WarioWare game to date, the novelty of the microgame experience isn't quite what it once was. Whereas I once loved to challenge myself to replaying specific stages over and over for new high scores, the fact that I've seen this exact structure multiple times before, including the same control gimmicks and most of the microgames, resulted in me tiring out on the concept far faster than I would have had it been my first time with the series. So as one who has seen most of it before, I still liked it. I certainly enjoyed the stroll down memory lane, but I also didn't feel much of an urge to go back once I finished the story mode and given the challenges a few whirls, especially with the glacial pace of fun unlocks. Ultimately, WarioWare Gold is a great collection that ended up feeling just a little bit too familiar, even if that is the entire point. But let me be clear, if you haven't played a WarioWare game before, I don't think there's a better place to start. This might just be the definitive game in the series, with more microgames and modes than ever before, alongside a fantastic presentation. And I'm reasonably confident that if I were a first timer, I would have liked it a lot. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more reviews and everything else Nintendo too.